everybody. Nice to hear your chanting. Chanting is very good. And it's part of the practice that energizes the mind. The practice of mindfulness in itself. Focusing on those words. And also the meaning of the words can give you some good understanding or insight of the practice. So it's something you can do on your own as well as when you're in a group. Just now somebody wanted to come into the retreat, so this is a place that people want to join. They hear the sound of the chanting, I want to be up there, but unfortunately it's full. We're not accepting any more people. So you're the special ones. You're here already. One of the important things to understand is practicing all aspects of Dhamma, whether it's Dharma, Sila, or Bhavana. You have to start at the beginning. You have to accept when you begin the practice, maybe you are not yet skilled, you don't know many things, you're new, and you have to accept that. And we start with what we know and what we can do, and then we build through experience, through time, through effort, we build up our experience. Even the Buddha himself started off once upon a time, he was just an ordinary practitioner, just like us. All the great enlightened teachers, they all started off just as ordinary people, just like us. But they kept practicing, building on their experience. They kept committing to the practice. You come on this retreat, it's only a 3-day retreat, but you're committing to give up this time for your practice. So commitment is a very important part of the practice. And it's probably not an exact word in Pali for commitment, but it's a mixture of several qualities. One is saddha, which means having faith or confidence in the Buddha and his teachings. And when you have faith, then it draws out commitment. Another one is adhitthana, which is usually translated as determination. So you might determine to sit in meditation for 1 hour, or you might determine to chant the morning chanting every morning, for example. These are examples of determination that you apply to one aspect of the practice. You might be determined to keep 5 precepts, or you may be determined to keep 8 precepts. Or some people don't feel ready for the 5 precepts, they're determined to keep 1 precept. 1 precept, probably the best one is the first precept, not to kill, because it's the heaviest kind of karma people can make. There was even one monk who felt that there were too many rules. As monks we have 227 rules in the Patimokkha, the main body of rules, but then we have many minor rules outside of the Patimokkha. So it actually extends to thousands of rules. So there was one monk who went to the Buddha and said, too many rules. And the Buddha said, I just have to practice 3 things. Remember and practice 3 things, 3 precepts or 3 rules. Sila, Samadhi and Panya. It's not everything. But sometimes you have to start simple because you're new. Many people find it difficult with so many Pali terms and sutras, and where do you start, what do you do? So sometimes you have to begin quite simply. Even Ajahn Kalyano had that thought when he went to see his teacher, Rinpoche, and he was just asking what's a skillful attitude for a monk to have towards all the rules that we keep, because there's so many. how can you remember all those rules? It's maybe not humanly possible to constantly keep them in mind and be mindful of all those hundreds of rules all the time. Ajahn Kalyano said, what you need is hiri and ottappa. These are the two qualities the Buddha said are the guardians or protectors of the world. Hiri means a sense of shame, meaning you give some value to who you are, your humanity, your mind, the goodness of your mind, and you're keen not to damage that or blemish that. So if you were to do something unwholesome, harmful to yourself or others, you would be damaging your own goodness, so you have a sense of shame. So sometimes they say it's like when you have a feather and you have a fire or heat, you put a feather, bird feather near heat, it shrinks back, because that's what heat does to feathers anyway. Our mind is like that. If we have hiri, sense of shame, when you have ugly thoughts, unwholesome, unskillful thought, the other part of your mind shrinks back from that. So, oh no, don't go there. You even say that, don't go there. So you need that quality, you need hiri ottappa. Ottappa, which means the fear of the consequences of your wrongdoing. So that not only involves yourself, if you keep following unskillful thoughts or speech or actions, it's going to affect you personally, but it will also affect people around you. Obvious one is if you do something unskillful, that is breaking the law or breaking a rule in your workplace or something, well, there'll be very serious consequences. You have to go to court or you lose your job or something. So the ottappa means fear of the consequences, the karma results of the actions we do. They come back on us both from other people and our own regrets and sadness about what we've done. So these two qualities, hiri and ottappa, are like preventative medicine. Sometimes we take medicine to prevent us getting ill or to prevent our illness getting worse. So they protect the mind, they protect our practice, they protect our life. If you have hiri ottappa, shame, fear of consequences, then you're careful. When I was a kid, there was one proverb or song we used to say, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Meaning, if you have hiri ottappa, you're careful, you don't just rush in and do something or say something because you're aware there's going to be consequences of this action. It will lead to something and maybe those consequences won't be very desirable and not going to be very good. So this is why they say, if you have hiri ottappa, it's like you have a guardian angel with you all the time. And this isn't an external guardian angel, it's your internal conscience. We say we have a conscience, so then we think before we do. Hopefully, obviously mindfulness, heedfulness, other qualities as well. But it's that sense of looking after your own mind, your own goodness. So Lumpur Man told Rinpoche, you need that to practice. So even if you forget some of the rules, because there's so many, if you're careful, have a conscience, then the rules will naturally start to come out of that. But you'll notice if you have a conscience, then even squashing a mosquito or a fly or something, you think before you do it, you feel maybe this is not good, it's going to cause you pain, maybe I'll regret it. So before you tell a lie, or before you swear, or before you do something that's not very wholesome, there's a little voice or a feeling in your mind that comes up and sort of stops you, or at least warns you. was it? Oh, like these days the cars, they have GPS unit, and then the GPS in Australia they have lots of these speed cameras, and the GPS will beep before you reach the speed camera. So you're like, oh, better slow down because you're over the limit, and the camera will catch you and you'll be fined, and then you lose points. We call it demerit points, and that's true. You lose your merit, you lose your license. But then it's a warning. We have these warnings in life that come up. It can be intuition sometimes. You just have a sort of sense something's wrong in what you're going to do, or a decision you're going to make. Sometimes it's even a premonition. Sometimes people have dreams or prophetic dreams or some kind of vision or sensation. And some people feel hot when they're about to do something unwholesome. Literally they feel hot. And it's telling them, this is not good, not right, better stop, better change. So Hiriyottapa are like guardians of your mind, of your practice. And even if you can't remember all the rules, or even the 5 precepts, you're worried you will forget your precepts. You have Hiriyottapa, you cultivate them, and they look after your actions and your speech and even your thinking. And when they become more refined, you're even careful what you think. Because you know if you keep holding on to an unwholesome thought, anger, jealousy, rage, it's going to lead you to suffer, maybe it'll lead you to do something hurtful. So it can be a voice or a feeling in the back of your mind that's just warning you and protecting you. And partly it's coming from wisdom, understanding. You could call it part of right view. So if you keep listening to the Dhamma, keep your meditation practice up, you keep chanting and keep associating with other people who practice, your Hiriyottapa improves, because your understanding of Dhamma improves, so that you're more careful and you're more aware of yourself in different situations. So for monks it becomes very refined. If you live with a teacher, maybe you just start thinking an angry thought or a lustful thought or a greedy, selfish thought, and then you see the teacher or you're aware of the teacher there, so already you just shrink away from that thought. You haven't said or done anything yet, but you don't want this unwholesome thought sticking in your mind. So there's something that's, you let it go quickly, drop it. It's like if you pick something up hot, put it down, drop it. That's part of our practice. It's part of our wisdom practice. You get more refined wisdom and understanding, then you see more clearly what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. And then the Hiriyottapa guards you. So particularly the center of keeping precepts, but it's not only that, we're using it in meditation as well, to let go of all kinds of negative thoughts, stupid thoughts, foolish thoughts. So living with teachers, sometimes you see a situation where there's a young monk and sitting there in a group of people and the teacher is there, and then the young monk, because he's still unrestrained, not very mindful, maybe he sees a pretty woman. And his mind starts to dwell on this pretty woman too long, looking too much. You're a monk, you shouldn't be doing it. You have to practice restraint, but you forget yourself. So there's one monk I know who's doing it, looking at a pretty woman who come to the monastery and she looks attractive. And then the next look, he looked at his teacher, and his teacher wasn't looking at the pretty woman, his teacher was looking right at him. They're like, oh, caught red-handed. So it's like the teacher doesn't even have to say anything. All they have to do is be there because they've already got their bharani, they've already developed these qualities. So the teacher just sits there, and the student sees the teacher, and the teacher and the student sort of, eyes down, become more mindful, bring the attention in, more aware. It's not just lust or sensual desire. It could be anger in just the same way. Sometimes people in the monastery, people get angry. There was two monks were getting angry once in the monastery in Thailand. They used to stay and they were arguing a bit too much, getting too hot. And they were kind of, when you argue, you wave your arms around and sort of make a big fuss because you're getting all hot and worked up. And the picture of the teacher fell off the wall. And they both look at the picture and say, oh, what have we done? Because immediately they got their heavy orders back and they realized, we lost it. We lost our mindfulness, got too worked up, too angry. And then they have to put the picture back and, sorry. you ask forgiveness from your teacher as a mental act. And your teacher's not there, but you realize that you've broken your sila, you've been unmindful, and you want to start again. And a lot of our practice is about starting again, because we're learning, and when you're new, you're not that mindful, you're not that wise, you don't always remember the Dhamma, so you have to start. You have to be quite humble and accept you're a beginner. So this is why they say, the best kind of mind state for a meditator is the beginner's mind. You accept I'm a beginner because there's still mental defilements arising sometimes, and I have to watch that. But if you think you know, you think I know, I've done lots of retreats and I've done lots of meditation and I've read lots of sutras and heard talks, I know, that can make you complacent or careless. Just like at work, At work, you go to work, you don't like somebody who's a know-it-all. You appreciate someone if they know a lot and they share their experience with you, but if it's a know-it-all, it's somebody who just thinks they know best and they always tell you what you've done wrong and make your life difficult. It's the same in life, isn't it? If somebody knows everything, but they use it to make your life difficult, make you feel small, and they don't encourage you, they don't help you, then that person is not easy to live with. We have to watch it for ourselves because it's part of our human kind of conditioning. We like to know, we like to be in charge. It's part of our ego or our self. And even in Dhamma, it can come up. I've done the retreats, I've heard the talks, I know, but then you miss things, don't you? Once you say, I know, you're not looking anymore. You're not being very mindful maybe because you think you know. So we also have to come back to sort of basics regularly in our practice. When you meditate, every time you meditate, you're starting fresh. And if you think about it, that's actually helpful because one of our biggest problems in life is we're always carrying around the past with us. Baggage, mental baggage with memories of what we've said and done. But if you realize when you meditate, every time you meditate, you sit down, or you do walking meditation, you're starting fresh. You can put the baggage down, it's new. If you're allowing yourself to say, I'm new, I'm putting my past behind me now, and I'm going to start meditating on the breath, for instance, and you allow yourself to let go of the past. Somebody asked the Buddha, they said, what do people think of most of all? And he said, the past, more than the future, because the future hasn't happened yet, so we do have a lot of thoughts about the future, and that's also a problem sometimes. But more is the mental baggage of the past, isn't it? Carrying around what's happened to us, all our failures and problems and bad memories, and the things we've done that we regret. So part of meditation is learning to be skilled in bringing your attention to the present moment with the breath. So having hiri-ottappa doesn't mean to say you see your faults and then you carry around guilt and self-aversion and hate yourself. Because that's still mental defilement and that's still a cause of suffering. The hiri-ottappa is more of a protective quality, just to help you direct your mind back to the present moment, bring up the mindfulness, and to be on guard for unwholesome mental states that may arise. So you're ready to abandon them or even prevent them from arising if you can. But it's not like this feeling of guilt is a very kind of modern thing we talk about now. Everyone feels guilty about what they've done and what happened, which is really like clinging to negative memories and the emotions, the feelings that come with them, identifying with them as that's me, and we suffer. And we suffer over and over again, maybe over something that happened a long time ago, many days, weeks, months, years ago. We keep bringing the memory up and keep creating fresh suffering over and over again. So when you meditate, one of the reasons we can relax and enjoy meditation is because we're learning to bring the mind to the present moment and we put the past down. And the Buddha always said that, the past you put it down, the future you put it down because it hasn't happened yet and you don't need to worry too much about the future. Bring your mind to the present moment. And so the Buddha taught anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. It's one of his standard meditations that he taught. The yogi, you're all yogis, sit down, cross your legs, find a quiet place. So here's a quiet place, we have this meditation hall. And you set up mindfulness in front of you, meaning you put attention on the breath. You're putting your mind there. And you set aside thoughts of the past, the future, and you also greed and aversion as well. All the likes and dislikes you have in your life, the preferences, you're just putting it all down, all this baggage, bringing your attention to the present moment. And you could say you're starting fresh, aren't you? Each moment is a new moment. It's totally different from the previous moment. That's 1 second is not the same as the next second. Mindfulness, as you practice, reveals that, shows you that. You say, I'm meditating right now, what happened before is gone, it's finished, isn't it? You don't have to think about it, you don't have to carry it in your mind, you can put it down. So it's literally like you're carrying heavy bags, but now you put them down, so your arms feel rested and you feel happy. Ajahn Chah used to joke, there's a guy carrying heavy bags along the road, and another guy comes along and says, "Oh, you look really tired." And this guy is sweating, he's hot, he's carrying these 2 heavy bags for a long way. And the other guy says, "Oh, you look really uncomfortable, why don't you put them down?" And the first guy says, "If I can't put them down, I'll have nothing to carry." That's human beings, isn't it? We're carrying the past all the time. Memories, and then they prompt painful memories, unpleasant feelings, negativity, anguish, despair. That's a big part of human suffering. It's basically we're carrying things around all the time and we're not willing to put them down. And people say that they meditate and they sometimes say, I get to this point in my meditation where I'm just ready to let go of everything and just settle my mind on the breath. But then I wonder, if I let go of everything, I'll have nothing left. That won't be good. It's like the sense of me will be gone, and they're afraid. So they get fear or anxiety coming up about letting go. It's very, very common. So just like a man who's not willing to put the bag down, even though he's really suffering, he's just worried that if he puts the bags down, he'll have nothing left. Some people, one lady once said, if I meditate like you are describing, meditate on the in and out breath, and become really calm, my body feels light, happy, I let go of everything, maybe I'll just float away and never come back. This is I'm afraid of that. And then don't worry, nobody's ever done that. But you have these kind of feelings and thoughts come up, and you might call them doubts. Even when you're peaceful in meditation, the next moment you can have a doubt. what do I do next, or what will happen next, or will something happen? That's our own mind that we have to manage. We have to teach ourselves. The one, before you meditate, bow or chant to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Remember your teacher, the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, the teachers, and the teachers. You get some confidence from that. You have your hiri-ottappa, so you're aware of what is wholesome and unwholesome. You have some effort, some energy. Then also you have to just trust in the teachings of the Buddha. You trust that the Buddha is not teaching us something to hurt us, or trick us, or delude us. And you're still in charge. You have a choice here. So you have an escape hatch. You have a fire exit. I have a fire exit here. Your fire exit is you're sitting there. If you're not feeling comfortable, you just open your eyes. No problem. Open your eyes and everything is fine. So sometimes you will get, your own karma brings up worries, fears, but as you practice more and you become more confident, you learn more, then you can use that confidence to help you. At those moments when you're afraid or you're feeling something, you have a bad memory come up, you look at it with wisdom. It's just a memory. It's impermanent, it rises, passes away. And if the more effort you put into bringing up mindfulness, the easier it is to do that. And so if you keep practicing, after a while you learn how to let go of many things. When you start with small things, like for me, I think the very first thing I found difficult to let go of was itching. Sitting there and you just feel an itch. And I thought, I don't want to scratch this itch, but then you keep thinking about it, and you touch the itch, you scratch it, and you go back to your breathing, and then all you can think about is an itch for the next half an hour. Even an itch can interrupt your meditation, can't it? But then you realize after a while, this is no good. I can't just keep thinking about my itches and scratching them and worrying about them. What do? You learn to ignore them, don't you? Come back to the breath, it's just an itch, it's a small thing, let it go. Whatever wisdom you have, you use it to let go, and then after a while, the itch disappears. Because if you don't give it attention, it will fade from your mind. It doesn't have any impact on your mind. So then you move on, don't you? You can go to the breath more. So you start up with an itch, you start small, then you might move on to something a bit more disturbing like pain, or sometimes it's sound. Like last night I gave a talk at NDR and they're having the Mooncake Festival downstairs, and there's all these people singing and music, and they're singing out of tune really loud. So you're trying to meditate or give a talk and there's all this noise in the background. So that's another one, isn't it? You have to learn how to establish mindfulness. It's noise, but then you just let go, you ignore it, let it go. And in the beginning it's difficult, you get irritated by the noise. As you chant, you go out and let your mind disturb the noise. It's not really the noise disturbs you, you disturb the noise by holding on to it. But later you practice, you realize, I can let go of this. And you keep working from itches, noise, pain in the knees, whatever it may be. Keep working little by little. You're building up your ability to be mindful, come back to the breath, let go of all these other things. Memories of the past, worries about the future, thoughts of things you like, thoughts of things you don't like. You're learning to let go of all of this. But it's a skill and you need to keep going. You start small, you start simple, and you keep moving on in your practice. And if you're one who likes to study and read, that's good, and you get more ideas and knowledge from your studies, good. But if you don't study, that's also okay, because all you really need is this awareness. You need the mind that is aware of the breath in, the breath out. And then you use these other qualities just to support that. So you use the effort, the faith, the patience, If you're going to progress in your meditation, the Buddhism, you need patience. Because you're starting small, your aim is to grow in mindfulness, in wisdom, in samadhi. So you need patience to allow yourself the time to grow and keep practicing over and over again until you get better. So you need patience. So you need a number of qualities, but really the aim is to bring all your attention to the breath and training mindfulness. Mindfulness, clear comprehension, know the breath. And you ask some of the teachers, Ajahn Chah for example, how does your mind get to see the Dhamma or experience the Dhamma? Or you can say, realize the Dhamma, realize the Four Noble Truths, become enlightened. Well, all these factors come together in one. Sila, Samadhi, Panya, Hiriyottappa, faith, patience, they all come together in the one mind, in the one moment. Because there's mindfulness present and samadhi comes up from continuous mindfulness, like all your mental energy, all your knowledge, all your understanding, all comes together in one place, your mind. And then from moment to moment you're maintaining mindfulness. Through the practice you get better at it. So all these factors of the path all come together in one place. It's not like you have to send your mind out to know many things out there in the world. Actually bringing your attention inwards. And its qualities all arise out of the mind that is being trained. So it could be trained in mindfulness of breathing. It's not the only meditation technique, of course, but it's a very good one. Or any meditation technique you use, you're developing mindfulness, and all these qualities are being cultivated at the same time in this mind that has mindfulness. The more you have mindfulness, the more you can quieten the mind and you can see things more clearly. So you're practicing mindfulness of breathing. The Buddha led us through it. So you get to know your breath, long breath, short breath. This is what we call vitakka vichara. Vitakka means putting attention on an object, on knowing an object, the breath, for example. So when you're mindful of the breath, you're aware of that sensation in and out, whether it's long or short, or vitakka. And then you sustain your attention with the breath, meaning you're not wavering and start to think about other things. You're just thinking about the breath. Or vichara, sustained attention. So if you practice your vitakka vichara, your initial or applied attention and then your sustained attention come up, then you're not thinking of other things. Maybe a thought arises but you don't take much interest in it. It's like an itch. That thought about the work you're going to do tomorrow, what's for dinner, all these other things that you might think about, they may arise, but they're like an itch, you just ignore them, let them go, when you stay with the breath. This is like vitakka vichara, keeping your attention with the breath now. So if you're doing that, your mind will start to naturally settle down, body and mind, and start to feel more tranquil, more easy, more calm. So you begin to experience piti and sukha. They tend to come up together, but piti is first, and it's what you notice first because there's more movement, it's more exciting or stimulating. We call it rapture or joy. It's that feeling that comes, or that experience that comes when you start to enjoy staying with the breath. So you're not bored. That's an important point in your meditation, where you're not finding the meditation boring anymore. You're not restless or distracted, and you're looking at your watch or thinking, when is this going to finish? It's when you start to enjoy it and you're happy just to keep meditating. That could be walking meditation or sitting meditation. Some joy comes up, it becomes enjoyable. That's an important experience for humans to have because it's internal. It's not enjoying food or enjoying a movie or enjoying somebody's company. It's just enjoying something very simple and neutral, the breath. But when you enjoy the breath, you have your own source of happiness there. You're not bored and you don't get angry or irritated when you're enjoying the breath. It's like, that's why we do a lot of things that we find enjoyable, because it helps us to let go of our anger temporarily. But most of what we do to let go of anger is what we call sensuality. So comfort food. You're angry, so you eat your favorite food. You're angry, so you listen to your favorite music, or you talk to your friend, because it makes you feel better and your anger fades. But they're very temporary solutions, and you don't really learn where anger is coming from, what to do about it. You're just distracting yourself from it. So a better way is maybe practicing meditation. So when you experience some enjoyable feelings coming from the meditation, anger doesn't arise then. So already metta starts to arise. So sometimes people think you can only have metta or goodwill just from practicing metta meditation. But you practice anapanasati, you also give metta, because your anger disappears. And it's just a fact, isn't it? If no anger, then you must have metta. They come together. So your anger is taken away by rapture and joy. Metta arises. So when people practice mindfulness of breathing or contemplation of the body, you can also give you rapture. Anger disappears. You become more kind, contemplating the body. At first it doesn't sound correct, does it? But it does. It works, because when these factors of samadhi, vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha arise, you don't get angry at that time. You become more patient, more relaxed in body feels tranquil, mind feels tranquil. Sukha is more continuous feeling of contentment and sukha vedana, so it's a pleasurable feeling, and it has a great effect to still the mind. So as you are getting into your breathing meditation, your mind feels more still, more steady, more calm, and it counters the natural restlessness of the mind. Normally we're always thinking, endlessly thinking all day long. And if you really are a new meditator, just sitting down like this, already your mind is, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What's happening? You have hundreds and one thoughts come up, especially if you're on your own. In the monastery, you put someone on their own in a room or a twinkie in the forest. If they're brand new to meditation, it's like, they go into panic mode or get stressed just sitting quietly in a room. That stress is self-produced. It's just the mind thinking and thinking, restless, worried, agitated. So not yet very good at calming or focusing the mind on something like the breath. Sukha, as it comes up, counters that. So you feel very steady, calm, still, enjoyable, but also it becomes still. And then the last factor of samadhi, if you really keep practicing and improving your mindfulness, and your mind is staying with the breath, knowing the breath, you experience it all ekaggata, one-pointedness. And the word one-pointedness, it means the mind unifies in one point, comes together. So not only do you have stillness, but you feel very energized. All your energy has come together. So you feel bright, you're not sleepy, you're not distracted, you're not seeking other things at that time. You're feeling very self-contained, very peaceful. What did the Buddha say? The Buddha said it's like water. Right? You have mountain water. You don't have mountains here. Where I live, we have mountains. And the water from the rain comes down the mountains in streams. You can let that water just flow down to the ocean, or you can use that water. So people make dams. So the water fills the dam, and then they can use it for irrigation, drinking, washing their car, whatever. They use the water because they make a dam and then they make channels or put pipes. And that water becomes useful. And in the old days, they even used to use it like as a tool and channel the water. So you get a stream of water or a jet of water, and you can break down rock. And miners used to do that in the old days before they had machines. They just used water to separate. Like in this part of the world, it would be rock from tin mines. They just use water, power of water. So basically, the mind is like that. If you channel this unified energy, it becomes powerful, energetic, useful to you. So your mind is in a position it's really useful to you. It becomes like your best asset, your best resource. So all these 5 factors of samadhi, vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekatthana, they come together, they give your mind all kinds of good qualities, useful qualities. You're not bored, you're not angry, you're not sleepy. Your mind is, we say, ready for work, ready to investigate. So it's not the end of the story of samadhi. It's like just one step up, and then the next part of the story is insight, or wisdom, anya, using this stable mind to investigate your experience. So the Buddha said you have samadhi, so you do your mindfulness of breathing, your mind becomes calm, one-pointed. The Buddha said it's like having a solid post. When the wind blows, this post is not going anywhere, it's solid. Animals come, and they knock it, and it's not going anywhere. It's solid, firm. Your mind becomes firm. So then when you contemplate thoughts and emotions and memories and the mental baggage that you've put down, but now you can afford to pick it up a bit and look at it. Well, this body, your mind is like a post, it's not wavering, it's not affected by what we contemplate, it's not swayed all over the place, we get all upset by what we see. You just observe the way things are, impermanent, suffering, not self. The reason you can see these 3 qualities is because your mind is firm. What is firm exposes what is not firm, things that are impermanent. Body seems pretty firm and solid, but actually it's always changing, aging, and one day it must die. It's not very firm. Your thoughts are not very firm, right? Come and go, come and go. One thought, good thought, bad thought, happy thought, sad thought, interesting thought, boring thought, all day long, thinking, they're not firm at all. So if you have the firmness of sati and samadhi, and you apply that to investigate, observe your thinking mind, you'll notice thoughts are very impermanent. And they arise and pass away according to causes and conditions. They're accompanied by feelings, so pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, neutral feelings. Accompanied by perceptions, so the way you remember things, that's what feeds our thinking, doesn't it? It gives you all the information. You remember the information, sight, sound, taste, smell, touch, and then you can think. So it's all the details of your thought, but your firm mind can see now, all of this stuff is impermanent, arising, passing away, it's not very solid. So the anchor of the mind, anchored in mindfulness, the breathing, allows you to see the 3 characteristics of anicca, dukkha, anatta in your experience. And that gives you true insight, wisdom. The result is you let go of, you stop attaching to things that you realize are not self, you don't own them and they're impermanent and they're suffering. And you will let go, right? Once you see they're suffering, you don't want to hold on. You need this mindfulness and the firmness of mind to see so that you can let go. Actually, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self, these 3 characteristics, they're always there. They're surrounding us right here, right now, aren't they? Your body is changing every moment. Fans are moving, the clouds are passing in the sky, people are coming and going, people are moving, your mind is moving, different thoughts and feelings. Anicca, dukkha, anatta are there all the time. And that's why Ajahn Chah, this great phrase, is that everything is teaching us. The trouble is our mind is closed. Our mind is closed off from the truth. We miss it. We have tunnel vision, we're narrow-minded, and we're just focused on, I've got to do my thing, get my thing, and I don't like this and I like that. And we're caught up in all our emotions and thoughts all the time, so we miss anicca, dukkha, anatta. So it's like you're being taught the Dhamma all the time. The Buddha or Ajahn Chah said, if your mind becomes peaceful and you're training in mindfulness, then it's like the Buddha is talking to you all the time. Everything is a teaching. It's not necessarily good or bad, it's just you're seeing the nature of things, physical things and mental things, and they're teaching you all the time. But the reason we miss it is because normally our mind is not ready. We're not prepared for it, we haven't practiced, so we keep getting lost in our emotions, and the telltale sign is that when you're lost, you suffer. You're discontent, not happy, not getting what you want, getting what you don't want. This is what we chant in the morning chanting, isn't it? What is suffering? And suffering is not getting what you want, being associated with what you don't like, being separated from what you like, in brief, not attaining your wishes. This is dukkha. That's all that movements of the mind, not seeing anicca, dukkha, anatta in your experience. You keep attaching and holding on and wanting to be different than it is, you suffer. So the wisest person in the world, the Buddha, understood that he'll never get everything he wants. That's wisdom. But the deluded person thinks happiness is getting what you want, so they're always trying to get what they want, so they're always suffering, they're always getting disappointed. Why can I say that? It's because you notice it every day, don't you? You see it in yourself, you see it around you. And nobody wants to get old, or we get older every second of every day. Nobody wants to get sick, or we get sick from time to time. Nobody wants to die, but we all have to face death. So clearly we will not get everything we want in life. So just that fact, the Buddha sort of revealed that can give you insight. But as you practice mindfulness, your insight becomes more refined. So you're not just seeing birth, aging and death in your body, but you're seeing it actually in moments of thought, emotions, feelings. Then people say, well, where's the peace in all this? Well, the peace is knowing the way things are. Your mind is not attaching, so you don't suffer from attachment. If you attach, then you get disappointed when things change and they don't go the way you want. The peace comes from knowing the way things are. So they have these phrases that say, when you can see the way things are, or you accept the way things are, your mind is peaceful. It's just like that. It's just the way it is. So your leg has an itch. It's just the way it is. Your leg has a pain. It's just the way it is. The weather is too hot. It's just the way it is. The weather is too cold. It's just the way it is. Your friend talks to you very nicely. It's just the way it is. Your friend talks to you very rudely. It's just the way it is. The price of everything goes up. It's just the way it is. The price of things start to drop. It's just the way it is. That's life, isn't it? Things are changing according to the causes and conditions. So you're learning to see that in your experience. And the more you practice, the more refined from moment to moment you'll see that. So maybe that's enough of the talk for this morning.